Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to talk about roguelikes and Wizard of Legend in particular. And if you don't know what Wizard of Legend is, it is the recent awesome roguelike game that came out recently, and it has just blown me away by how great it is. And it really reminded me why I love roguelikes in the first place. And, you know, roguelikes, I've said it multiple times before, have easily been my favorite genre of games just ever. You know, FPSs and, you know, competitive first-person shooters and stuff like that easily are a close second, but roguelikes have been a number one for me as long as I've been a PC gamer, pretty much. Because when I first started being a PC gamer, you know, I had a crappy laptop that could kind of run TF2, so it started to be where I loved first-person shooters, you know, on PCs, but it could run roguelikes, and, you know, I played Binding of Isaac, oh my god, so much. You know, between the original Binding of Isaac and Binding of Isaac Rebirth, I have around 700 hours. And that is a lot of game time, you know, especially for a single or, you know, two roguelike games. And pretty much every single roguelike game that I have heard about, I have at least tried. You know, a lot of them, they tend to get me interested at the beginning, but I don't really get fully engrossed into them as much as I have Binding of Isaac, because, you know, Binding of Isaac, just, I have something special with it. But, you know, I've tried so many things. You know, I love, you know, Rogue Legacy, Enter the Gungeon, you know, Dead Cells, all these different roguelike games I've tried, and I really like all of them because I love roguelikes, and, you know, a lot of them share a lot of similarities, but Wizard of Legend I haven't recently been, like, blown away by a roguelike game. You know, I've been really excited and I've enjoyed, you know, my time with Dead Cells or, you know, Enter the Gungeon, but I didn't really get too much into them. And I need to, you know, kind of try Dead Cells again because, you know, it's in early access, so a lot of new content came out. But nothing has, like, just wowed me as much as Binding of Isaac has until Wizard of Legend. And it's just because of the fact that it does so much of what I love about roguelikes while also bringing so much new to the table. And, you know, obviously one of the biggest things for me anyways why I love roguelikes is kind of having a sense of progression. And that's kind of in two different ways. The first way is being able to kind of just see yourself improve. You know, when you're playing, say, CSGO or Rainbow Six Siege, or, you know, a really competitive game like Dota, or, you know, just any game, a lot of the times they have a ranking system, you know, a kind of, you know, tier list, and, you know, you go from copper to, you know, silver to gold to, you know, those whole stereotypical things. And, you know, although that kind of does give me a sense of progression, you know, when I play Rainbow Six Siege, because you can see yourself improving, hopefully, you know, in the, you know, kind of rank you have, you can slowly see yourself rising the ranks. It feels really, really bad when you lose, because you're losing kind of progression, you know. Although you're slowly progressing, and if you, like, look at graphs or just kind of be like, oh yeah, at the start of the season I was copper, but now I'm gold. Although you can kind of see that, you know, progression you've made at the time, every time you lose, and you know, pretty much lose progress, although you might have learned something, you're still kind of losing progress. It feels really, really bad. And what I like about roguelikes, and, you know, Wizard of Legend is no different, is when you die in a roguelike game, you're not really losing progression. You're still constantly seeing yourself improve, and that's one really great way to kind of gauge progression. Because, you know, when I first started playing Wizard of Legend, or, you know, I keep saying Wizard of Legend, I couldn't even beat, like, just the easy boss at the first of each floor. And then I started to be able to beat that, but then I would lose at the second floor. Then I started to be able to beat that and then lose to the, you know, first real big boss. And then, you know, I slowly start getting past that and stuff like that. And I haven't, like, really fully won the game yet, just because the game's kind of been out, not for very long, but I'm hoping to do it soon. But you can easily see a sense of progression of you getting better. You know, you slowly start to learn, oh, okay, well, this enemy delays, you know, a second before it shoots a arrow, so I can kind of wait till the very end and then dodge. Or, you know, you start learning, you know, weird things like, okay, well, if you push someone to spikes, then they'll just instantly die. And you really start to learn all the caveats of the game that you're playing, and you just see yourself getting better. And the other side of the progression that I love about roguelikes, and, you know, Wizard of Legend does, is every time you lose, you know, although you're not losing fully progression, so it doesn't feel bad, it can still kind of suck to lose. But what's great is constantly throughout the game, you're slowly getting the crystals that allow you to actually further unlock things. And having kind of unlocks and stuff like that are another really huge way for me to love a game and to have it have a lot of replayability value. Same thing in Binding of Isaac. The reason I have so many hours is because there's so much to unlock. There's so much content. You know, for Binding of Isaac Rebirth, for for every character, you get so many items, there's so much things to work for, because every character you'll have, okay, well, if you beat Mom, then you unlock an item. If you beat Satan, you get an item. If you beat Isaac, you get an item. If you beat the chest, you get an item. There's like 9 different things for everything, and then you have the hard mode on top of that, and there's so much to unlock, and there's constantly something to work towards. And that's why I like Wizard of Legend, because what it does is there's all these spells, and this is kind of going into what I think is really unique about the game and what I think it brings to the table of roguelikes, is you have all of these spells that you slowly start to learn how to combo with and what they do and stuff like that, and there's a huge amount of spells. And at the beginning it gives you a couple of the crystals that you can buy and permanently unlock the spells in your hometown, or you could get relics or stuff like that, but you slowly earn those crystals in game, and you use those to unlock cool new special things, and there's so many of them to unlock. And so what that does is you start to really learn all of the different combos that you can make with the spells, because by having like 5 of them unlocked at the beginning, you can kind of start playing with, okay, I really like the fireball, and oh my gosh, it does this awesome combo if I kind of hold them in place and then use a fireball on them. And you really start to learn that, and you start to learn what spells you like and what spells you don't really like, and you start to learn these combos. And because of the fact that there's so many different spells that you unlock, it adds so much to the replayability value, because also you're trying to unlock everything. You're slowly starting to try to buy all of the spells it offers. So at the beginning of the game, you can change your loadout, because once you permanently unlock spells, you can just spawn with them in. You have like a normal primary, then a special, and then a dash and stuff like that. So you can kind of start playing with that a little bit. And also in the game, it kind of introduces you to some spells, because, not only do you have gems which allow you to permanently unlock things out of the game, you find gold by killing enemies and all that kind of stuff, and there's the occasional shop. And you can buy spells, and so what actually happened is, in the gameplay you're seeing, I've been using this kind of like tentacle grab thing that grabs them in place and then, keeps them there, deals damage, and then if it hits anyone else, it does the same thing to them, and it keeps spreading. And before I even knew that existed, because I didn't have it unlocked, I was playing in a game just with other abilities, and I bought it from a shop because it looked cool, and I was like, oh my gosh, this ability is amazing, this spell is awesome. And then I had a couple gems from playing, even though I lost, and then I saw it in the shop, and I had just enough to buy it from the shop. I had it permanently unlocked, and then I started testing different combinations with that ability, and it's really, really awesome. And that's what I find really unique about this game, is the fact that there's I think there are like hundreds of spells in the game, and that's going to add a lot of replayability value, not only trying to unlock them all, but learning all of the combos and everything about them. And that's what I think Wizard of Legend does really well at bringing something new to the table. I'm not going to say it's as, original or has this as unique thing as Slay the Spire, because that's an entirely different world. I've talked about how much I love Slay the Spire, but Wizard of Legend is so unique, and it's unique enough for me to want to keep playing it, and it kind of just me being that enthralled into a game and being like, trying to learn all of the new, normally like when I was playing Enter the Gungeon, I enjoyed it, but every time I saw an item, I kind of just picked it up and kind of like, oh, okay, it kind of does this, and I just felt it out. But now Wizard of Legend, every item and spell, I take the time to read what it does 100% in the game. I kind of like, a lot of the times they'll have lore text, I read that as well, and then I play with it, and then I try it out with all these other combinations, and I'm just spending a lot more time and dedication and, kind of effort into every single thing in Wizard of Legend, because I'm so interested about them. And that's why I love Binding of Isaac, because every single item, it kind of has something similar to Wizard of Legend, because there's hundreds of items in the game, and even after learning all of the items, you're still going to have this sense of discovery every time you get a cool combination. I have like 700 hours between both games, and I'm still to this day like getting 3 items, and they all interact in a special way by giving you, if you have like Brimstone and Homing Tears, it does, special homing Brimstone. But, just having combinations like that, where not only are you discovering each item and having that really awesome sense of discovery in a roguelike, but, with Binding of Isaac and Wizard of Legend, with the combos you can do with the spells, it's adding a entirely new layer of sense of discovery because of the combinations, and I really, really love that. And it's just, and Wizard of Legend, the atmosphere is great, the music's great, the way it looks, the art style is great, just everything about it. And, on top of that, you have devs saying that they're going to make more content for the game. Obviously, I think they said at the first huge area area they're going to make is going to be free, and then they don't know after that. But it's the fact that it's just, there's so much content in it, and that's what I love about roguelikes. There's just so much in one little package. You know, it's awesome because, you know, say you play a Call of Duty, you know, the Call of Duties come out yearly and you really like them. There might come to a Call of Duty that you really like. Like, it just really, really speaks to you. And to me, that was kind of Modern Warfare 3. You know, I really, really loved that game. I played it when that was kind of my first Call of Duty, like, Xbox Live game. That was when I had an Xbox, and that was the first COD game I ever had, like, online for, and it just spoke to me so much. But then once the new COD game comes out, you're kind of like, well, crap, there might be a couple players, but that's not where you kind of feel a little bad playing it, because there's a whole nother new thing to come out, and, you know, you really should be playing that, and all the players are leaving, and, you know, queue times start getting long, and you kind of have a limited time to play it. But with roguelikes, you can spend years playing, you know, Binding of Isaac, or all these roguelikes, and still discovering new content in a game that spoke to you. So if you really love roguelikes, but, you know, say Wizard of Legend, you know, it didn't really speak to you, that doesn't mean you don't like roguelikes, it just doesn't mean it didn't speak to you. You know, I personally haven't had a game speak, you know, roguelike game speak to me as much as Binding of Isaac did. You know, I don't have 700 hours in any other roguelike. You know, although Wizard of Legend seems to be speaking to me right now, you know, I can't, you know, confirm, you know, fully that, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to spend 700 hours in this game. Although I am, you know, loving it as much as I originally first started loving Binding of Isaac, you know, it might not live as long, but it spoke to me, and it really made me want to make this video, because it just reminded me why I love roguelikes. And, you know, not only do I like making these videos to talk at you guys, but I really love the discussion that comes after. So if you've played this game, or if you've played any other roguelike games at all, you know, really let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to hear what your experience is of roguelikes, and, you know, whether you like this game but you hate Binding of Isaac, or you really liked Enter the Gungeon, and, you know, just different things, whatever your kind of experience with roguelikes, or, you know, any kind of roguelike type games in general. I'd really love to hear about your guys' experience, so definitely let me know in the comments down below. And like always, if you guys enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New video comes out every Wednesday and Sunday. And like always, guys, hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and see you guys next time.